I think that most people don't realize that the things that really mark your life for good always come to you in an unexpected fashion and in an unexpected moment. One thing that really marked my life to the point of splitting it in two stages, I believe, is when in 1992 I was invited to lecture at an event in Miami, an academic event in Miami. And I have never been to that city before, and it was an interesting opportunity for me because when I was a child, I went to this private bilingual school in Havana. It was run by an American. And my parents made a great effort to send me to that school because they thought it was very important for me to learn English since I was a little kid. That's the best time to learn another language. And most of the people who were in that school left the country after the revolution and went to the United States, most of them to Miami. I didn't know where they were living in the United States, but I went to Miami with the expectation that eventually I may find one or two of them. So when I was in my hotel, the first night or second night, I took the phone directory and started looking for names. And incredibly enough, there was one of my best friends when I was in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. It was a girl by the name of Dora Margarita Diaz. And she left Cuba in 1962, so we're talking here about a span of 30 years. In those 30 years, she didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about her or how she was doing in the United States. So I didn't even know if this was sheer coincidence or was the real person that I was looking for. So I took the phone, called the number, and yeah, it was her. It was her on the other side of the line. And she was totally, of course, amazed and shocked that, all of a sudden I'd pop up in her life again. She was very happy about it. I was very happy too that I was able to find her and to talk to somebody of my old childhood years. She decided to invite me over so that I could meet her husband at their home. And that's what we planned. And we decided that we were going to meet for some time, and I went that evening to their house. And she asked me, well, what have you been doing? And I started to tell her all the incredible events that I went through my childhood and my teenage years in the middle of this incredible revolution. I went to the countryside, to a war zone, to teach children how to read and write. Later, there was a nuclear missile crisis between Cuba and the United States. I went to the army as a volunteer. So I gave all these stories. And I noticed that the husband was kind of shy and quiet all the time, just listening very attentively to what I was saying. And at the end, even out of courtesy, I asked him, well, Jesus, what about you? I mean, what's your story? And he kind of paused for a moment, and he said, well, I was carefully listening to your stories, and what I could say is that I was doing exactly the same thing that you were doing, but on the other side. And there was a moment of silence, because I think that we both realized, and my friend also realized at that point, that if that meeting would have taken place years ago, if we would have met before, we would probably try to kill each other out. And well, the night went on, and we finished the gathering. They took off for their home, and we say goodbye, we parted, and so on. The day I was going to take the airplane back to Havana, I received this phone call from the husband offering to take me to the airport. And I said, look, you don't really have to do this. There's a shuttle that will take me to the airport, so you don't have to bother about it. He said, no, I want to take you to the airport. And all of a sudden it struck me like a little weird, because this guy was violent before. He was into violent organizations and so on. And all of a sudden he wanted to give me a ride without my friend, all alone, him and me. And I said, well, what the heck, let's say yes, and that's it. And I said, sure, come on, pick me up. He came and picked me up, and when we were about arriving to the airport, he all of a sudden parked on the side. And I said, anything wrong? I said, he looked at me very seriously. And he said, I want to ask you a favor. And this favor might sound childish to you, but it's very important to me. And I said, sure. How can I help you? And he said, I want to shake your hand. Because I have fought all my life against what you represent. And I lost very dear people who lost their lives in that struggle against the regime that you were defending. And shaking your hand means that I recognize that there were decent people on the other side, and that I am at peace not only with you, but with myself. And I really need that very badly. And I, of course, shook his hand, and I embraced him. And I learned a great lesson from him. Because I also learned that we were trapped in history. We were trapped by history. And there were decent people on both sides. We both believed in what we believed at that point. And it would have been much better if we would have found at that time a way of avoiding violence and sorting out our differences in a peaceful manner.